How you doing, sir?
Oh, just fine, and you?
I'm doing outstanding. Ready for the talk, and today we're going to be talking about Fear Not, I Am With You.
That's it. That's what he says, omnipresence. If you turn to me, I'll turn to you. That's what God says. I'm with you always. We'll never leave you. If he's right there, why not take advantage of it? Why go out looking in the world for the help you nearer than hands and feet, wouldn't you say?
I would say. And even with that being said, somebody had wrote in recently, and they said, I hear everything that you're saying, but I'm still not there. I still haven't overcome a lot of fears that I'm experiencing and so forth, and I know that God is in me, but I haven't got the, for lack of a better word, the faith of his presence yet. What would you say to that person?
They have no passion for what they're seeking. That's the only problem they have. They have no passion for what they're seeking, because what you're looking for is looking for you. And what you're receiving, what you're doing, what you're being is what you have thought of enough to get it personalized in your world. That was long-winded, wasn't it?
You know what? It was a good answer, and to be honest with you, it kind of threw me initially when you said that they have no passion, because I was trying to equate passion and fear. But as I gave it a moment of reflection, it made sense. If we're passionate about what it is that we endeavor to do, it kicks fear to the curb.
Right. That's right. You can't do both of them at the same time. You have to jump back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and that's what it tells you. Do not let the double-minded man think he will anything. I mean, right there, that tells you the double-minded man can't do anything. Everything goes south on him. And that is a statement that applies to every child born of woman, doesn't it?
It does. So it sounds like with many of us, the reason why we have fear oftentimes is because we're torn between two opinions. And what I mean by that, a young man had reached out to me recently, and he said, DeCarlo, I need you to see something on my behalf. And I told him, great. I said, but you also have to see what it is that you want me to see for you. I said, otherwise, I'm fighting against your conception of not having. And I said, so it's important that you also see, in this case, he was talking about seeing himself healed of a particular ailment. And so he came back later on, and he said, I had these successes, but then, one night I had this panic attack and I couldn't breathe. And I said, you can't give in to the panic attack, even when you experience it. Say every day in every way, I'm becoming better and better. Change your self-talk. Would you agree?
That's it. If you change your self-talk, that changes your world of experiencing. You don't have to do anything to make it so. You're claiming it so, and it's produced for you by subconscious mind, whose only contract from God is that they make your world according to as you think you are. And it is your world as you think you are every day. What are you thinking about? If you don't like the results, well, then change your thinking, because you're on all the time. You're told you're praying ceaselessly. Doesn't that mean forever? I mean, all the time?
Absolutely. Forever and all the time. Ongoing.
Yeah. That's right. It only changes when you change your mind. That's the breaking point of everybody, is that they can't change their mind. That just lets them sink and drown. That's it right there. But you're given to choose this day, and you're doing so. See, it's not actually a request. It's telling you that is what you're doing, that every word must be accounted for. It's every word. And that's rather, actually, the inner conversations are generally the most damning to the person. because they're thinking, well, who knows what I think, and who cares? Well, nobody needs to know but you. And because you're going to make your world in accordance. So I would check on what you're talking to yourself about and actually come to an approval before you quit, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I like that you instructed them to be mindful of what it is that you're giving your attention to. Somebody asked me recently the question about bad people, and they made reference to Hitler, and they said, well, is Hitler in hell? And I said, hell is a concept made up by clergy, the church, to basically have people pay penance in this life in hopes of bypassing, hell. I said, but hell is here. I said, if anyone's dealing with hell, whether it be a Hitler or otherwise, they've dealt with it in this lifetime. I said, but now the state of mind that a Hitler would have, I said, that's reproduced. If he was ignorant in this life, he'll be ignorant in the next. Would you agree?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Look, it tells you very simple in Scripture. As you think you are. Now, you may not be aware of what you're thinking most of the time, that being lost in thought. And that could be anything from uncomfortable to disastrous. Thinking unaware of what you're thinking about. And believe me, we do that much, much more than we realize. Because if you're not enjoying your world, well, then it's obvious that you're thinking the wrong thoughts. But they're not wrong in that you were given whatsoever to choose from. It's just that you have chosen would be considered wrong if you're not happy about it. But you have the choice. Choose this day, and it's always this day. So, this day, choose better than the best yet, and then stand and see the victory. That's the way it works, isn't it?
It is. It is. So in choosing, let's say in this case here we're talking about fear, people, and you've often said it, often imagine monsters around every tree, every corner, when the truth of the matter is the only monster is in their imagination. Would you agree?
That's it. It's too close to even be near. Right?
Absolutely.
That's it.
So how does one go about vanquishing the monsters?
Look, just start choosing what you're thinking about. That's it. If you can't choose something different, well, sorry about that, but that'll be your plight through life. That's it. You have to change your mind to change your world. If you're not willing to do that, then suffer it. That's all you can do. But you're given to choose this day. In other words, choose the thoughts you're going to think, because as you think you are, you experiencing your life every day. And sometimes it is every day because you're thinking right in the now. But thinking in the now, we all do that. But is it positive or negative? And if you're not checking to see, then you got surprises ahead for you, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And one of the things that I found when my wife and my family had experienced a defraudment, and I started thinking of all these bad scenarios that was going to take place. And the only way I got over that fear was I played it out. And once I got to the worst case scenario and said that I'm okay with that, it no longer had any power over me. Would you agree?
Yes. But saying really, you just changed channels.
Absolutely.
That's really all you did. You just changed. You can change the channels on the TV by pushing a button. You can change your channel by just looking around and seeing something that interests you, and then zip, you're off on it. It's just like that. But it is you who does the claiming. You understand? Everything you do is something you have claimed it to be. And you say, well, it's hard to believe. You believe many things. Maybe a lot of them are false, but still, you have many ideas that you harbor in your mind, and they become mindsets. And when they're mindsets, they act automatically. In other words, whatever comes up as a situation, that mindset will jump out almost immediately. You don't even have to think about it, but it'll happen. And it's usually, if it's a negative situation, then it just gets even a little more negative. That's all there is to that. You have to think. It tells you to think only on things that are lovely and of good report. Certainly you can do that, can't you? I mean, you can say, well, I think I'll think of Disneyland today, and just go there and go on the rides, all in imagination. That's the way it works. It works because God in you is your own imagination. And he's telling you, choose wisely. It's better to choose wisely, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, you said a couple of things that I loved, so I want to go back to them. You said, change the channel. And the truth of the matter is, after I got through all of my processing, simplified, that's what happened. I changed what I chose to focus on. And even when we were dealing with, the IRS or whatever the case was at that time, they weren't so big. We say that there's giants in the land of our imagination. When the giants became grasshoppers in my own mind's eye, I was able to face the challenges more readily. So basically, you're correct. I changed the channel. And the other thing is, you said, claim it to be. And many of the things, all of the things that we fear is because what we've claimed that fear, that situation to be. But we've been given the authority to name it. So it goes back to what you say, choose you this day. Would you agree?
That's all there is to it, really. And if you're serious about knowing first person and choosing wisely, that's all it takes. To seek and you shall find. That's the word. Seek and you shall find. Shall. Not maybe, not if today's your lucky day, but you shall find if you seek it. And don't stop, because what has your attention does have your life. And if you want a better life, then see what has your attention, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And I like that you were poignant and pointed and directed. Seek and you shall find. It's not even an option. So what it is that each one of us has discovered or found, it was a byproduct of previous seeking. Would you agree?
Hey, why is it that you can get all fearful and upset over something that hasn't happened yet, and you're not happening because you're not dealing with it? Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so what we've done is given faith in the evidence of the thing that hasn't taken place yet, but it's in the negative. So we've applied faith wrongly, which you often call acts amiss, for the thing that we do not want. Would you agree?
Absolutely it. It's absolutely it. See, the thing of it is, people have to take responsibility. You understand? I mean, for what they think and feel. They have to have a responsibility. You're told that as you think you are. So if you're not happy with how you are, then what are you thinking about? Why are you thinking about it? There's only one power. That's it. One power. And that's what you're using. You're using God's power because he gave you choose this day. So if you have whatsoever to choose from to choose this day, what are you choosing? If you can't think of anything better, well, call up DeCarlo. He'll tell you.
When you were speaking about the one power, it made me reflect upon Neville often saying, you are the operant in power of that one power. But many of us fail to recognize that. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's right. That's where I got it. Was from Neville Goddard. And because he was telling me, actually what he told me was, you're not even on your own side. Well, actually, after I thought about it, I did what he told me to do, go into silence and think about why you're not on your own side. And, that took me weeks. I didn't know how much not on my own side I was. And many have told me that they really were surprised at some of the attitudes they had. You have to be responsible to check this stuff out for yourself. Because that's what we're doing. We checked it out for you, and we gave it to you. Now, what are you going to do with it? If you don't do anything with it, okay, that's your choice for the day. Choose this day. You didn't choose it today? Well, tomorrow is also this day. So it's always this day. You have a choice to change your mind, change your world. And changing your mind changes your world. You're not going to have to labor anything, but just stand and see the victory. But you do have to claim. See, when you talk to God, if you're whining or crying or begging for this or that or whatever, that's not praying. I mean, well, actually, you'll get that, but okay, but why? Why do that to yourself? You're told to think only on things that are lovely and a good report, and as you think you are. I mean, you don't have to sit and think of that very long to find out that it's really simple. Not easy because, like you said, it's very hard to focus on the good guys or the good things or the good thoughts, but it will get easier if you'll do it often, won't it?
Absolutely. But as you stated, repetition, do it often.
That's it. Hey, by the time we finish the talk, there will be dozens of people who will actually start right there, but they'll give up in a few days or a few weeks. And then they'll be calling in again to hear it again. And that's the reason why we make these CDs and tapes and that, so they can do it at home and listen to it. It's the same there as us talking here, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
I mean, people call me all the time, and they say, well, for private interviews, and then when they get there and I start talking, they say, well, that's the same stuff, some of the same stuff that you were saying the other night. And I go, well, what did you expect? I mean, what did you really, what could I tell you more than what I told you? God's all things to all. Well, I mean, if you need more than that, I don't know where you'd get it, do you?
I have no clue.
But it's just, people won't take the responsibility to think for themselves. And then when they don't like what they're doing, they don't know what to do about it. Change your mind, change your world. I couldn't say it enough times in any talk. And yes, they're all the same because I'm telling you what the story is. Do you think we've planned it out good enough for them?
I think so. But as many have said, the hearing it repeatedly is very beneficial. And because the goal is to move from hearsay to my say. It's good to hear all these talks. It's good to hear talks from Neville. It's good to hear talks from, the great speakers of the past or even today. But it doesn't matter until hearsay becomes my say or your say. Would you agree?
That's right. You have to learn. Isn't that the why they have a celebration of coming of age? So that you start thinking for yourself?
Absolutely.
See, so if you've passed that age, well, what are you doing? You see, if you look back, you've been conditioned to a lot of things that are false. A lot of ideas that are false. I mean, maybe a lot of good ideas also, but you still have false assumptions on many things. As I found out, it was on many, many things. But you have a valid say, and that is what is the focus of your sitting in the silence and being still and know that I'm God. That is your work, to know and then to share what you came to know. Because it wasn't within my territory of understanding what I was hearing, but I did hear enough that I knew I had heard something that was worthy of my attention. But that was Neville Goddard, and I paid attention. Not right at first, no, actually it took me a long time, but eventually I did test for myself, first person. And when I got results, I didn't believe it. And I did it again, and I got results, I didn't believe it. And that's the problem. You don't believe that you're actually creating your world of experiencing, and you are. Every day, every moment, you're always thinking ahead of the evidence that you're experiencing. I mean, you can deny this. I mean, I denied, no, that's not me, but that was me. That was me. I was my own worst enemy. I have found the enemy, and he is I. And that was it. That fit me perfectly. I have found the enemy. Everything that was going wrong, I could actually go back and act. Well, no, actually I couldn't because I forgot most of it. But every now and then, every now and then, and then I could go back and I could actually remember talking about that with someone, and I was to reject it later. I thought, but I didn't completely reject it. You see, in other words, don't play with negative. Don't even play with it because it's dangerous, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And you were talking about beliefs and that we believe many things, and often many of those beliefs are erroneous. And what I want to challenge the listeners to do is challenge your beliefs. And if they're not bringing about your desired outcome, change them. Do you agree?
Yes, absolutely. And the thing of it is that understand that you're to claim from believing. And so if you're not working on believing something, and you believe a lot of things, like we said, you believe many, many, many things, and most of it could be just hearsay, which is not really valid until you test it. And that's what you need to do. Test what you're saying to yourself. Does it stand as a good idea, or is it negative? Because that's what you're going to experience. I mean, tell them.
Absolutely.
Isn't that what they're going to experience?
That's exactly what they're going to experience, and it goes back to what you said. You said many people don't believe that their thoughts are framing their world, and I paraphrase that, but that's what we're saying. If you're experiencing it, you created it in one fashion or another, and sometimes passively, because you failed to choose, others are choosing for you. Would you agree?
You said the word, passively. See, that's it. They passively think about what's happening, and they make no relationship to it. They won't own it. And you do own it if you thought about it. That's owning it, because you're giving it life. And whatever you give life to, you're responsible for. So just approve your own self-talk. Approve of what you're suggesting to yourself in those self-talks, because that's your life of everydayness, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, absolutely. And if we're experiencing disease or discomfort within our bodies, don't be led by the feeling of the disease or the ailment. Be led by what it is that you desire to experience. So if it's better health, focus on feeling good, even if it's just for a moment at a time. Embrace that, because what that does is reproduce more feeling good a moment at a time, and more moments are added to feeling good. Would you agree?
That's it. You're to be the actor rather than the reactor. As long as you're a reactor, well, you're stuck. But if you become the actor, then you can change parts. As a reactor, you just cut yourself off. But as an actor, you can change parts. So do so. Change the part you're playing. Take a different road. Take a different adventure. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, why give you a choice to choose If you're not choosing, or if you're just going along with what's going on, well, then that's what's called the Walking Dead. I mean, you're performing in the world of the drama of the play. You're performing, but it's not leading you where you want to go. Then you're unhappy. And why be unhappy when you're being offered? You could not even imagine what is being offered to you every day, but you have to claim it. And you're claiming when you're paying attention to anything, you're claiming. Claiming what? You're claiming that idea. Claim a new idea. It's simple as that, isn't it?
It is as simple as that, claiming a new ideal. And you had said earlier, just by changing the channel, far too often we've given authority to the body, to the world without, and we've ceased to give it to the inner man, the spirit within. Would you agree?
Yes. You actually, your body takes its marching orders from you, from your feeling nature. So if you want to be short, then you have to change your feeling nature. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. A lot of times when you're speaking, often you will make mention of feelings, and a lot of times when saying everything else, that gets lost. But that's the core, the essence of everything that we talk about. When we say as you think you are, we're under the impression that you also know that that thinking is joined with feelings. Would you agree?
Yeah, yes. It says as you think in your heart, that's your feeling nature, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, so actually most of the time you are feeling when you're thinking, but are you aware of what you're feeling when you're thinking? Sounds like a riddle, doesn't it?
I was just thinking that I was leaving it alone, but I was thinking the exact same thing. It almost sounded like tongue twisters, and it kind of sounded like one of those, but you're on point. You're absolutely correct.
You know, this comes through me, not from me. But I do get involved now and then when I'm not supposed to. Because I know better. All I do is confuse it when the old sailor gets in there. But actually, you have a valid say. That's what we started off with practically all the time, is that your say is valid. Now, what does valid mean to you? It means purchasing power. And what you're purchasing is what you're paying attention to. And if it's not something lovely and of good report, you're wasting your money. You're not investing it. Invest yourself in yourself, and it'll pay great dividends. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And I want to go back to the question. He says, what does valid say mean to you? Whatever it is that you're giving your attention to at the moment, lack, loss, limitation, illness, sickness, disease, wisdom, wellness, wealth, abundance, prosperity, whatever that thing that you're giving your attention to at the moment is your valid say. And you're about expressing at that moment your valid say. Would you agree?
As you're impressed, you express. And you're talking to yourself, impressing yourself all the time, suggesting to yourself all the time. If he says this to me, I'll say that to him. You know? And they go through life that way, unaware that they're actually creating the world that they're walking in. But they well, yeah, they all got that list. I had one of them. I'm sure you did too.
I did.
But you got to get rid of that list. You can't blame somebody else for what you're thinking, can you? I mean, how can you blame somebody else for what you're thinking when you're the one choosing? It works if you work it. You have to play it the way it plays. This is a drama. This is a play. And as you think you are, that's the play. As you're impressed, you express.